Hello everyone and welcome back to another ProGuides video. I hope your placements are going well, and remember that it's a marathon and not a sprint. Though it makes a lot of sense because you've been running in my mind. Hi, I'm single, but you can call me Nathan Ing, and today we'll be talking about our predictions for what's going to be strong in patch 11.2. Okay, so there's a lot of balance changes coming in next week. We're getting a good amount of buffs and nerfs, enough to make a champion way worse or way better. But we're not just going to be talking about the OP picks and give you the builds, that's for our tier lists. This time we'll highlight the strongest champions, but also talk about the state of the meta and items that you need to try out. If you want to keep up with our guides, tier lists, and news updates, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, or in this case, the giant void dinosaur. Chogath might be the strongest winner of 11.2, becoming one of the best tanks in the game. He's already performing well in the top lane, and the adjustments to the tank mythic items give Cho a much more reliable build path. Right now, it kind of feels bad to build Frostfire Gauntlet or Turbo Chem Tank simply because they're way worse than Sunfire. There's no question that statistically and performance-wise, Sunfire provides more for every single tank. Better stats, more damage, and overall sustain. With the gold adjustments and mythic passive changes, tanks aren't being punished for not building Sunfire all the time. The 400 gold can be put into your next legendary item, and it makes for a quicker 2-item power spike. Chogath is someone who loves to build Turbo Chem Tank and Frostfire Gauntlet, putting him in a fantastic place in 11.2. Before we get into his build, our question of the day is, what skin line did you vote for in the League client, and why did you vote for it? Make sure to let us know in the comments down below. Okay, so if you're planning to play Cho, your build should look something like this. For your runes, take Grasp of the Undying, Demolish, Conditioning, Overgrowth, Presence of Mind, and Legend Tenacity. This will give you maximum scaling and a great trade pattern with Grasp and your E. For your items, go Turbo Chem Tank, Defensive Boots, Titanic Hydra, Gargoyle Stoneplate, Warbox, and Thornmail. You can also get a Force of Nature instead of Thornmail if there's more magic damage on the enemy team. The great thing about this build is that it works great on almost any tank that doesn't rely on easy CC to engage fights. For example, Malphite and Ornn will always want Sunfire because they don't need the slows or movement speed from the other two mythics. Champions without easy engage relying on skill shots or flanks can utilize their Chem Tank and Titanic Hydra power spike. Shen, Poppy, and Cho need you to start a fight in some other way than an easy to land ultimate. We're expecting to see more variety in these builds, so don't be surprised if a 10-stack Chogath runs up and eats you. Our next topic isn't a specific champion, but an item that we feel is flying under the radar amongst mages. There were a lot of big changes that happened to mage mythics over the preseason, and Ludens Tempest had the least amount of tweaks. Riot has done their best in making the items equal in power and good at accomplishing certain goals. Luden is designed for poke mages, but it also helps clear waves and provides sustained damage. Patch 11.2 is shifting around some of the tank stats, which will lower general tankiness and increase some tank damage and utility. This is the best meta for a Luden's mage mid, so expect champions like Zoe, Annie, and Anivia to be up there on the tier lists. They're very forgiving to play, and having strong wave clear will help you stall out games and scale. Speaking of mages, it seems that most players have gone back to their comfortable ADCs in the bot lane. We aren't seeing nearly as many mages as we thought we would, and the ADC items are in a pretty good place, even after getting a nerf after patch 11.2. With how effective Liandry's and Ludens are, people are going to start bringing out Swain and Karthus instead of a marksman, and they'll have a big advantage in solo queue. Your 1-item power spike will give you a lot of strength in the mid game, and that means a lot when games are barely reaching 30 minutes. If you want to learn more about how to play uncommon things, like Mage's Bot, our coaches over at ProGuides.com can help you every step of the way. From picking your favorite champion to carrying in team fights, our high elo staff will help you reach whatever goal that you have. Visit our website and send a message to one of our online coaches at any time. Moving away from mages, one item that we're surprised dodged nerfs is Goredrinker. This item got a few small nerfs during the preseason, which has made it really strong instead of totally broken. You know there's a problem when your talent and Pantheon are building an item originally designed for bruisers. The sustain and damage are just so reliable, and jumping into the backline isn't so scary when you can use Goredrinker's active to empower Renekton and Q the entire team. But seriously, if you like to play high burst melee champions, 11.2 is your time to climb. You can turn a 1v2 fight with the well-timed active, so just make sure that you're using it once you're low on HP. Season 11's been all about the early game and snowballing advantages. The changes to Turbo Chem Tank help out some of the huge guys like Cho, but it also gives tanky supports another option for their support mythic. Right now, Locket and Shurelya's are the only mythic items designed for them, and Shurelya's is only good on someone like Rakan. 11.2 is changing Shurelya so that it is a third option for enchanter supports, while tank supports can choose between Locket, Frostfire Gauntlet, and Chem Tank. Both of these mythics only cost 300 more gold than Locket, and they totally changed the way that some of these champions play. I don't think I'm ready to see Chem Tank Alistar sprinting into my team, but it's gonna happen. These item changes aren't the only thing making tank supports dominate solo queue. Early game CC and reliable engage make it easier to win fights, which is essential in this meta. So now is a great time to play champions like Thresh. If you want to pick him up, your runes should be Aftershock, Font of Life, Bone Plating, Unflinching, Biscuits, and Hex Flash. You can take Guardian and Second Wind if you're facing an especially poke-heavy team where you won't really frontline. For your core items, you'll want Locket, Moby Boots, Knight's Vow, and Redemption. Your last item could be whatever tank item fits the game, or a Wardstone. Playing Thresh in 11.2 gives you the power to control games from multiple positions. Generally, you'll be a secondary tank and focus on peeling your backline. During the early game, you have insane presence and win most matchups once you have enough experience. Try your best not to randomly throw out your hooks. Focus on landing your empowered E auto on the ADC whenever they go for a CS. If lane is really boring or totally lost, you can roam around the map and make plays for your jungler. Roaming after the enemy sees you back is the best way to surprise your opponent, since they won't really know if you're coming back to lane or not. If you don't feel like playing Thresh, Alistar, Blitzcrank, and Leona are some of the other great options for winning the early game and snowballing the game. Enchanter supports aren't bad at all, but we find out that it's easier to win games when you can rely on yourself to get the fight started. Plus, roaming with CC is way better than roaming with shields and slows. Supports are in a great spot this season, and we think there's a lot of value in picking up a tank support. This will give you more control over your games, helping you actively win the games by making plays. Speaking of actively winning games, there are a lot of AP junglers that will be strong in patch 11.2. Fast clears and effective ganks are the best ways to win as a jungler, and champions like Fiddlesticks, Elise, and Taliyah are great for this playstyle. Even with Elise's nerf, we feel like she'll still be pretty strong. If you want a solid pick that fits a standard mage playstyle, Taliyah jungle is a great choice. So, if you're trying to pick up Taliyah, here's what it takes. For your runes, go Phase Rush, Nimbus Cloak, Transcendence, Water Walking, Cheap Shot, and Ravenous Hunter. Even though Ravenous is being nerfed next patch, we still think it's worth taking. If you don't really need the mobility from Phase Rush, there's another set of runes that you can take for damage. Go Dark Harvest, Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collection, Ravenous Hunter, Nimbus Cloak, and Water Walking. For your items, you'll usually go Blue Smite. Take Red Smite if the enemy jungler will get close to you, like Kha'Zix. But come on, if you're like me, you know how scary it is when people get close to you. It's really hard letting people in, you know? Your core build should be a Rushed Sorcerer Shoes, Liandry's, and Zhonya's. Then get a Rallies, Void Staff, and Death Cap. You can switch out your Void Staff or Rallies for a Banshee's Veil if you need that magic resistance and spell shield. These runes and items are designed to give you the damage and mobility needed to be a threat in the jungle. Try to play aggressive in the early game and use your range and damage to your advantage. You can usually get the Scuttle Crab and gank a lane quickly, so path towards the side of the map that you think you can gank. Abuse your insane dueling potential and fast clear speed. Another great choice in both the jungle and the mid lane is Echo. This guy is a monster once he's completed his Hextech Rocket Belt. Even with the movement speed nerfs, there's hardly any damage done to Echo because of how much ground he can cover with his E. He's one of the best battle mages in the game, and his ability to assassinate, engage, and ult out of any situation make him great in patch 11.2. If you want to try him out, go Dark Harvest or Electrocute, Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, Ravenous Hunter, Presence of Mind, and Legend Tenacity. This will give you all the damage and tankiness that you need, giving you enough time to ult before you die. For your items, go Blue Smite, Sorcerer's Shoes, Rocket Belt, Nashor's, Zhonya's, Void Staff, and Death Cap. You can buy an early Dark Seal and upgrade it if the game is snowballing in your favor. As a mid laner, you can pretty much go the same build, but you don't need to rush your boots. The last thing we'll be talking about is the stuff that hasn't really changed from 11.1 to 11.2. The best ADCs are still Jhin and Kai'Sa, and it will probably stay that way until the others are buffed. Gale Force being nerfed doesn't change the utility and damage on Jhin, and Kai'Sa doesn't care if she has to build Kraken Slayer again. Gale Force's active being on a 60-second cooldown made it extra powerful, but it was more of a reminder that close-range ADCs need peel. We suggest first picking or banning Jhin if you're trying to carry games in patch 11.2. For your runes, take Fleet Footwork, Presence of Mind, Legend Bloodline, Coup de Grace, Biscuits, and Time Work Tonic. These runes are designed with a specific item start in mind, so make sure you start the game out with boots and 4 pots, which is quite the throwback. For your core build, rush Serrated Dirk and Boots of Swiftness, then complete your Gale Force. Turn your Dirk into a Collector, then go Infinity Edge and Rapid Fire Cannon. Your last buy is flexible, but with how many divers we're seeing, you'll probably want GA. This pick works well with pretty much any support, giving you a reliable setup with your W and solid trades. When playing against somebody like Kai'Sa, try to push in the wave and make it hard for her to farm. Anyway, that'll be wrapping up our predictions for what will be OP in patch 11.2. Some of the stuff is staying the same, but there's some new tanks and mages that we think will be starting to show up more often. If you'd like to talk about the meta and solo queue, join our Discord with the link in the description down below. There's a lot of people to meet, and you'll be first to know about giveaways from RP, ProGuides subscriptions, and so much more. Again, my name is Nathan Ng. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.